All right, let's bring in our guest. He's an NCAA champion, an NBA champion, and if it was up to me, he's the favorite for G League Coach of the Year, the head coach of the Grand Rapids Gold, 19-year NBA veteran Jason Terry is here. What is happening, Jason?
Man, you know how to really make a brother feel good, man. I tell you that. But I'm doing well, man. We're wrapping up the season here. We're in fifth place, potentially could be in fourth after the night. So we're fighting hard to the finish.
Nice. Who do you have tonight?
Tonight we have the Westchester Knicks. That is the New York Knicks affiliate.
They're terrible. Oh, you'll kill them. You're only by 25. You're good.
He said, they're terrible. You never know this time of year because these rosters change on you by the minute.
Yeah.
Is that what's going on? Well, I want to get to that, the gold in a second, but let's talk about, did you get to watch the Arizona TCU game?
Oh, of course. Oh. Now, I mean, you got to think I'm a house divided. My daughter just graduated from TCU. My other daughter's a Sun Devil. And then, of course, I'm a diehard Wildcat fan. So we were all tuned in last night, rooting the Cats on. And, man, what a basketball game, man. The intensity level, the execution down the stretch that's what NCAA Final Four tournament basketball is about. March Madness at its finest.
I was thinking that too. I was like, I feel bad for anyone who's not in on this game. And I had money on Arizona, so it was extra exciting. But but to me, it's like, oh my God, you are missing out on a classic. And it's funny that your daughter goes, I mean, when you send your daughter to TCU, you probably thought, all right, there's no conflict there. When is Arizona going to play TCU? Right. It's
exactly. Cause they've been stinking it up, but I'm telling you, Jamie Dixon's a hell of a coach.
Yeah.
He has those guys playing at a high level. And it was a good game, man. I was a fan again, watching that action last night.
It was bizarre too, because first half you're dominating the boards. Arizona is right. Coloco, it seemed to be no problem, even though it was only like a 3-point lead at half. Then you couldn't grab an offensive rebound, right? Yeah. And then in the last 2 minutes and in all of overtime, you got all the offensive rebounds, right? So Coloco puts up 28, but then on the other end, you're like, oh, what are you doing? You're just letting Lampkin in. Like what is going? And there was there was S talking the whole game. It really had everything, didn't it?
Yeah, and for me, I'm emotionally attached to those guys. Not only that's my alma mater, but because I coached those guys last year at Arizona as an assistant under Sean Miller.
Right.
Watching those guys work at 6 a.m. every single day, putting that hard work in, and then being robbed of a chance to compete in the NCAA tournament last year. Right. Now getting the opportunity this year, you really see, what that hard work does for those guys. And when I seen Christian Coloco, man, he couldn't make a putback shot last year. He didn't have the strength nor the confidence to make free throws, which he made at a high level last night. And then Ben Mathurin, I mean, if this kid's not a lottery pick, I don't know what is. He's just had a phenomenal season. And then the confidence, the toughness in which he played last night, man, it showed a lot out of those young men, but I'm proud of them.
You should be. Nice, Mathurin was specific. I mean, I'm looking at him for most outstanding. Now, obviously, Arizona would have to win the whole thing for him to be most outstanding player. But you don't get more outstanding than that. He put the team on his shoulders. And do you feel that way too? Like, is there a better player in this tournament that you've seen?
No, he's hitting on a high level. Now, I've seen some guys now that are competing at a high level, but the way he's doing it, on the defensive end last night, taking on Miles Jr. and then hitting clutch baskets. Yeah, I mean, if they win it all, he's definitely my pick for most invaluable player of the tournament.
Yeah.
But, man, this tournament as a whole, man, I've never heard of St. Peter's. And, you watch that team compete, you're like, man, where have they been all my NCAA tournament life? So, I mean, there's more magic to happen. And that's what it's all about. That's what March Madness is about, man.
It really
expect the unexpected.
Yeah, it's a great mix too, because you have 3 1 seeds advancing to the 16. You have 3 2 seeds, and then you got the St. Peter's, and you have Miami. A big name school, but St. Peter's a 15 seed. I think like 2 weeks ago they had 500 spectators at their game, and that's what you're right. That is what it's all about. The great mix. I do want to ask you, your son. Now you said he went to Arizona State.
Daughter. I have 5 daughters.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yep.
Who does she root for? Does she root for Arizona?
Who's the cutest guy on the team? So, or who's scoring the most points? So in this case, it was Matherin last night. He's scoring all the buckets.
Right.
Gotcha.
Jason, Harry has a question for you. I'm going to apologize in advance, but good. Let's bear with it. It's probably multi-layered, and hopefully it'll make sense. Go ahead, Harry.
Hey, Jason. Look, Koloko went for 28-12 last night in Pac-12 Player of the Year. Benedict Matherin had 30 and 8 boards versus TCU, but the Wildcats still got out-rebounded by Jamie Dixon's 9th-seeded Horned Frogs. What adjustments do you think Arizona's going to have to do to take down a Houston team that's rolling right now and made the Final Four last year under Calvin Sampson?
Well, Christian's playing at a elite level, on the interior, but he has a tag team partner, and his partner really was ineffective last night, and that's Azulis Tubelis. He too should be a first-round draft pick this season. He's had a phenomenal year, all-conference player. I just think they're going to have to dominate Houston in the interior, take care of the basketball, and don't allow Houston to speed them up. When Houston gets that pressing, aggressive type defense going, I mean, they're hell, man. They remind me of the old Arkansas teams that were coached by Nolan Richardson back in the day when they applied just so much pressure on you. You turn the ball over, they get you sped up, and you're just never in your comfort zone. So hopefully Kirk Kriisa, our starting point guard, is healthy this week. He has some time to heal that ankle that he sprained a couple weeks back. And if he's healthy and he's making shots and making plays, and Azulis is a factor like we know he can be, I think we beat Houston. But I'll tell you what, give Kelvin Sampson all the credit in the world. He gets the most out of the least amount of talent. Guys that nobody recruited, guys that you haven't heard of, got a couple transfers in there, and he gets it done, man.
Give him all the credit and also give him a shirt. I mean, he went topless in that celebration, right? That's fun.
You know what? I'd hate to say that was the first time I seen that, but Kelvin Sampson recruited me. He recruited me when I was in high school, and I think he did take his shirt off at the house. Trying to get me to commit.
Whatever it takes, right? Now I'm
not the only one, Sal.
Right. You were a sophomore on that 97 team, right? With Bibby and Simon and was Michael Dickerson, right?
Michael Dickerson, yep.
You beat 3 top seeds. You beat Kansas, Carolina, and Kentucky you beat Kentucky in the finals. What stands out? What will you always remember from that run?
Well, just the fact that when we got to the tournament, we were like a 4 or 5 seed and nobody picked us to win anything. And as we were going through it, when we knocked off Kansas, who was the number 1 seed and had knocked us out of the Sweet 16 the year previous, we knew we had a realistic shot of winning it. Now, the road got harder. Obviously, Providence took us to overtime, but when we got to the big dance and we played Carolina, we had beat them earlier that season, so we weren't scared of them. Kentucky kind of played similar to us, and they were missing their star player in Derek Anderson. So our confidence was at an all-time high. But, in all honesty, it was a team effort, but the run that Miles Simon had reminds me a lot of Benedict Matherin, where, I mean, everything he seems to do, it just works out and it goes in. And Miles had that type of run for us. He was Final Four MVP. Our bigs played well. They never got enough credit, but they played with A.J. Bramlett, Donnell Harris. Those guys were monsters inside. But it's just one of those magical rides, man. You get the right matchups, right? You knock off a team you're not supposed to, and next thing you know, you're singing to the one shining moment.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it, man. It was a great ride we had.
That was a great team. A lot of fun to watch that team. I always wondered, when you cut down a piece of the net, right? You get on the ladder, you cut down the net. Do you keep the net a little bit, or you did? Where is it net 100%. Right now?
My mom has it in a trunk full of a lot of articles and all different kind of Final Four hats and shirts, and it's just one of them things, man. You'll keep that forever, along with my couple state championship nets, along with my NBA final net. Like, I got a lot of nets, man.
That's great. And you wouldn't get rid of it. Like if I gave you, $350 for it right now, you wouldn't take it.
I thought you said 350,000. I thought we had.
Wow. All right,
like
maybe
Tom Brady.
He's got it, Jason. He's got it.
You never know.
All right, you're right. Yeah, it might not be your last net. You could be back. Yeah, people have been burned by the Brady thing. Yeah. All right, I'll start a bake sale and see if we can raise $350,000. But hey, did you guys, when you were in the pros, did you do NCAA brackets?
Oh, 100%.
You did. 100%. What were the stakes for something like that?
I mean, you had the kiddie pool, which went for about 25 a bracket, max 4 brackets. And then we had the big boy pot, which we can go from 100 to 500.
Right.
You know, and that was just the guys on the max contracts. You know, they want to put the big money up. you pay out the top three place guys, and then, you know, everybody else is pretty much dead. But, you know, I never finished first. I never did. I mean, I always went with my heart and picked Arizona every year. And hell, we ain't been there in 25 years.
Really? Yeah. Well, you may have a nice shot this year.
Yes, sir.
Now, moving on. Now, your current job, head coach of G League's Grand Rapid Gold, like you said, bouncing between 4th and 5th place. How do you like? Is coaching something you always wanted to get into once you retired? Well, like when you were cutting down the nets, you were like, all right, I'm going to play for 100 years and then I'm going to coach.
No, it's something I'm very passionate about. And, you know, I've had some great coaches and mentors along the way. I can remember when I was traded from the Atlanta Hawks to the Dallas Mavericks, and Avery Johnson was given the job from Donnie Nelson halfway through the season. And Avery really mentored me and walked me through every step on how to be a professional, how to be a leader, how to communicate with my teammates, you know, and really poured into me. And it took that type of mentorship to hit home with me like, man, this is kind of cool, man. Coaching is something that might be in my future. Yeah. And so, you know, from there, every offseason, I started an AAU program with my girls. And for 15 years, we drove around the country in a 15-passenger van in the offseason. And I coached them up, won a couple national championships doing that. And then when I started winding down, probably my last 4 years, when I really got serious about coaching, I started to sit in on coaches' meetings with Kevin McHale. Then when I went to Milwaukee with Jason Kidd, he allowed me to do some scouting, some advanced scouting, player development, breaking film down, and still being a part of the coaches' meetings. And so then it really was like, okay, you know, this is tangible. And so when I retired, I coached girls varsity basketball for a year. I was also the assistant general manager with the Texas Legends. Then an opportunity came for me at the University of Arizona as assistant. So I took that job. And then this year it was like, well, okay, I know I can be a great assistant. You know, how about being the head coach? You know, what does that entail? You know, what are the skills and the tricks of the trade that I need to acquire? And, you know, this year's been a great litmus test of how to run a business, how to be a leader, how to lead men. The X's and O's come natural to me. It's something that I was always accustomed to. But it's more about mentoring and teaching and leading people. My passion is for people, man, and my purpose is to inspire others. And I'm able to do that, you know, through basketball, man. It's just been it's been a dream come true. The amount of guys that we've had called up to get either a second chance or third chance or last chance in the NBA or even their first opportunity, it's just been phenomenal for me. Now, I'm a competitor at the core. Like, I play for the win, and we want to win a championship here with the Grand Rapids Gold. It's just so hard to do in the G League because your roster can be different game to game, day to day. And so, but hey, we're in position now. Our guys are fighting hard, and hopefully we'll be in the playoffs next week.
So, you know, I was just going to ask you this because as challenging as coaching is, it's even more challenging in the G League because, as you brought up, a lot of your players will be called up to the NBA. So the mark of a good coach may not be wins or championships in the G League. It might be how many players did he or she get called up, right? So what is your mindset for this? You still want to win. So do you look at like the top 3 teams and like, man, I hope their players get called up, or, oh, I hope ours don't get called up. Like, where are you thinking? Do you ever talk to like a Lance Stevenson and say, look, I know they called you up, but you have an obligation to win a title with the gold here. Is that ever a consideration?
You know what? In the back of my mind, selfishly, I'm like, Isaiah Thomas, okay, are they going to sign him for the rest of the year?
Yeah.
I mean, when he's with me, he's averaging 45 a game. Wow. But before Nick Stauskas gets called up and gets a 2-year contract with the Celtics, he just hit 57, a G League record for this season. So it's like, yeah, you missed those guys. But on another note, I have 4 rookies on my team. I got a couple vets. but those young guys have learned so much from guys like Nick Stauskas, Lance Stevenson, and Isaiah Thomas that now they see it's their window of opportunity, and they're really taking it by the horns, and they're doing what they can do, man. So yeah, I want to win a chip, but I definitely want to see my guys get caught up and live out their wildest dreams.
That's great. I think that's the best attitude you could take. One thing I want to ask you about with suits and ties. Now COVID happened, and now coaches are like, you know what? I'm going to save $10,000 a year. I'm just going to wear team issued gear. Is that what happened? Are you okay with that? Or suits and ties ever coming back?
Listen, you're talking to a guy that played over 2 decades, and when I first came in the league, it was do-rags and sweatpants and big 4X t-shirts and throwback jerseys.
Yeah,
right.
What I wear, right, then, Jason? That's what I wear.
So then the transition came. Stern tried to change the perception of the league and was more of a business type league. So now you got the Armani suits, the walk-in suits, the 3 pieces, and then now it's the high waters and the big funky Versace sweaters. And I don't know what these guys are wearing these days. So, I've seen it all. I'm a guy that likes the long sleeve zip up and the college slacks. Like, I'm good with that. 100%.
I love it.
Now, will I throw on some Gators every now and then and a 3-piece Steve Harvey suit? I still got those big suits in my closet, so I can always pull them out.
You know what? Just wear the net that you cut down around your neck. That shows everyone who's boss. Forget about that.
You know what? I've gotten requests from the fans to throw the headband on one game and coach, but I was like,
right.
I'd be making
a mockery of all the great coaches.
Well, listen, Jason, you've been great. Thank you for coming on. I'm rooting. We're all rooting for the Grand Rapids goal. I think ideally we want all of your players to get called up and for you to win a title. I don't know how that's going to happen, but I think, right? That's what we need, both a nice combination of both of those.
No doubt. Well, if all my guys get called up, that means I got to get back in uniform. And I tell you what, it's hard to pull up them socks these days. You just can't stretch that far these days, man. It ain't going to work.
That's when the headband comes back on. All right, Jason Terry, thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
All right, no doubt, man. Appreciate it.
Good luck, Jason.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right,
Thanks, Jason.
Good times.